One farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold. You know?
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition. Well, some people still think it's money.
And welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel for a little Sunday weekend edition. Markets are open, but we've got some news to discuss. One of the age-old topics, questions, debates people have often brought up about silver. So we're going to talk about peak silver, peak mine silver, some recycling, got some technical articles up, some charts and graphs. You know, you could really dive into this and spend quite a long time, you know, filing through different agencies' data, different government institutions, different mining companies, financial analysts, stock guys, you know, the little cokeheads of Wall Street, the pigeon people. But we'll just take a look at some of it. I mean, probably just the tip of the iceberg. And you guys can kind of formulate your own opinion. If you got other information, other data, other stuff you want to include, links, charts, studies that, you know, give us another viewpoint or perspective on the information we're going to discuss, go for it. Provide it. Put it in the chat, whatever. Thanks for tuning in. Channel members, welcome. If you got a coin next to your name, I see you. You're a channel member. Awesome. Thanks for the support. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. If you're commenting in the side live chat, that means you're subscribed. Congratulations. Thanks for being a sub. And welcome to the conversation. So throw down some comments there. Keep it civil. Keep it, you know, clean. Thanks for talking amongst yourselves and
swearing is allowed.
Making a community. Yeah. Yeah. Swearing's allowed, of course, Mrs. Maltby says. But welcome. And thanks for joining me, guys. Here we go. What set me off on this course today? I often wonder that myself. I do. I wonder, like, why am I making this video? How'd I get here? You know, this is the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman. You know, oftentimes broadcasted live and unscripted, but I'll, you know, tend to read the articles with you guys. Sometimes it's, you know, one article leads me down like a little bit of a rabbit hole. And earlier I was just perusing the news, looking at stuff. I really didn't even plan on putting out a video that much today. And I thought, I might as well. I should. You know, I got a question. And let's look at some information. And it just ended up being one of those things where content kind of came about that I thought I should just share with you guys.
It was a busy day.
Just minutes old. Yeah, it was a busy day. Very busy, actually. We've had this foster kitty here. Her name's Raindrop. Mrs. Maltby picked her up from the shelter the other day because she was swollen fat with a whole little litter of tiny baby kittens inside, and they hadn't been born yet. And so the shelter needed some place for them to be housed and to be born in, and the mom to be taken care of. So Mrs. Maltby made her a little nest, made her a little room, and it took a long time because she was overdue already. And then finally today, I kind of checked on him at one point. Mrs. Maltby was working, and there we had it. She was kind of getting ready to go into kitty labor. So as the day progressed and time went on, 6 little babies have so far popped out, screaming and getting licked clean, and now
there might be a 7th.
Needing and finding their little teats to get their little milky milk nutrients, and they're doing good. So far, they're all moving around and wiggling, doing good. Exciting. We'll see if there's a 7th. If there's a 7th baby, we'll find out. Chip Fernandez, thanks for the super chat, my friend. He goes, do you remember Chris Duane mentioned that 3/20/22 might be significant? I don't recall.
I think he said it was going to be the end of
maybe
the world.
Did he say something like
today.
being the end of, I don't know, the end of the world or a reset, something? I don't know. I don't remember if there was a particular date involved or anything like that. I didn't see it.
We do know he got the Zuck.
I don't know. Yeah, I did. Someone did alert me to the fact that his channel had been, I guess, censored, taken down. YouTube deleted it. And that's been the way of the world.
March 22nd.
It's been happening for a while now. Thanks for Grinder Based, my man. Thanks for the super chat. He goes, Junius, stream of consciousness, truth broadcast. Excellent. Hey, appreciate the compliment, my man. Thanks. Let's get to the story. Let's get right to it, right?
Can I say
The
something?
headline, the title. What's that?
Sorry, Jake Greener, channel member there, says, "Who wants to sell me a JM round? They are non-existent anymore." You know, sometimes channel members will send them to us, and we auction them off or we give them away. Just kind of check in.
Keep your eyes out, yeah.
Sometimes a channel member will throw down in the chat or in the comments and say, "Hey, I have one. Email me."
Yeah.
But we don't have any other than one for ourselves. So
They've also ended up on eBay
yeah.
here and there. I do know of people that have a few. People that bought like a tube back in the day when they first came out. But again, keep in mind, there's only 960 or so of them that were ever struck. I think my dad actually bought a tube of 20, so he's got some, and I know he'd probably trade or sell one to somebody at some point. But I don't know. They're in his little stack.
And Napalm Death, happy 18-year wedding anniversary to you and your wife. He says March 20 is significant to him for that reason.
Oh, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. So now I'm getting to it. This is what set it off today. So let's hit the road on it. I was looking up information. This had been emailed to me a while ago. I've seen several articles about this news, which is the Mint officially canceling the production of the 2022 Morgan and Peace dollars due to a lack of silver plankets. Now, you're going to get a lot of people that blame this on supply chain disruptions and this and that. Well, look, if they wanted it and they knew this was coming, we're 2.5 years into the post-pandemic period. A lot of these things have been remedying. I don't buy it anymore. I'm sorry. The whole supply chain disruption thing. People that mint coins elsewhere are able to get plankets and silver and such. Now, it's been constrained. There's been some supply side issues. But I don't believe it's all because of the vid, if you know what I mean. I think the vid just gets a bad rap. A lot of excuses. You know what I mean? I mean, come on now. I don't even know anyone who got sick from it, really. I know people that got sick from other things, died from other things. Most of the time, the remedies or the prevention measures. But looking at this information, the United States Mint canceled its plans to strike and release the 2022 Morgan and Peace dollars. Now, these were, as you know and are aware, they made them last year, but they couldn't obtain sufficient quantities of the 999 fine silver plankets for minting them. They intend to resume production and sales in the year 2023. Now, one thing I'm not clear on is, did they even strike any this year? I don't know. I don't know if there's any available. I looked earlier before making this video, but I didn't see any available. I didn't see any online. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The weight on these, the weight in the silver content, I wanted to read that real quick, for the Morgan and Peace dollars is 0.858 troy ounces. So they're a little fatter, a little heavier. This is compared to the 77344 troy ounce per coin, because of course the old ones were made of 90% silver, 10% copper. So they're a different size, different alloy. But these new ones are, again, fine silver, which is nice. They didn't dilute it. And, I kind of do want one. I really do. I would like a 2021. I just can't get off. I can't get off my wallet to throw down what they want from it. It's ridiculous. I wish they had made them more, I guess, affordable for people like you and myself, closer to spot. And I understand they're going to take a premium with them, but I don't know why they are unable to produce these in a large enough quantity of fine silver to where it's almost like a bullion coin, to where people could get them. And I understand some people like the numismatic value, the collectability. But, hey, let's stick to the topic at hand. They're not making them. They can't make them. They're out of silver, it looks like. They can't get a hold of the plankets. All right. So this made me think of a lot of things today. And I started doing some further research, and it brought me down a path, and I'll get to, hopefully, the end of this broadcast today. We'll have some other information regarding current events and oil and commodities and such like that, currency deals, some world trade stuff that's taking place that's also going to directly impact the question and this news. Have we reached peaked mine silver? I'm going to let you decide for yourself, and that'll give you my opinion at the end. I'm going to take a time machine back, though, to February 23rd, 2022. This isn't as far back as I wanted to go. There's another article I'm going to come to that goes further back than this. I believe it's 2014. But we already know there's a huge surge. Just keep this in the back of your mind. Look at the backdrop of this. There's already a huge surge in demand for silver. And Silver Institute was predicting some uptick in demand, 8% this year over 2021. So that's an increase. And I think it's going to get even more so than that. Again, as inflation gets more and more constrained or commonly discussed, commonly accepted, as it gets more severe, the whole inflation side is going to drive people into, of course, things like silver and gold. It's becoming obvious. I mean, you remember the article and the video we did years ago on bedpans and hammers. Bedpans and hammers and tools being sold out, nails. As inflation takes place, people realize that they have to spend their money because it's only worth as much as it is right now. Your money tomorrow is worth less than it is today. That's the kind of inflation we're looking at. So people are essentially just buying hard goods, food, anything they can to get rid of fiat. Now, caught up and whipped up in that hysteria and in that herd movement is going to be a flow of fiat into precious metals. It's inevitable. It's historic. It's something people do instinctually, subconsciously. I think there's nothing governments can do or the media to, persuade people to not do that. It doesn't happen. It just happens naturally and globally. It might not be happening in your neck of the woods or with your family, but I can tell you on a global level, it's already unfolding, and we've been watching it for a long time, especially the last decade, really increase in its fervor. And I think Silver Institute's right on in predicting increased demand for metals this year. And we're looking at, silver exchange traded products witnessed a 6% increase to 1.132 billion ounces in 2021. Okay, so there's a significant amount of silver, major percentages of silver. Philip Newman, managing partner for Metals Focus, says silver investment demand has been strongest in bar form, with a 40% of the total silver demand in bars. I mean, there's just a massive increase. I've seen it in just the depletion of availability for certain supplies of silver when it came to looking online. I went the other day again, and I've been keeping my eye on various products on either eBay, but also, ST Bullion, JM Bullion, AppMex, BGASC by goldandsilvercoins.com, all of them. All the different places that I typically would go to check prices and what the premiums are and buy things. And I'm looking at a lot of the different bars and coins and rounds, bullion rounds, just disappearing. I mean, and it's not like if you look hard enough, there's still some corners of the internet, some, dusty, cobweb-filled corners where there might be some available of particular products that I don't see in other places. But overall, the supplies are dropping. I think we all see that. Shaft-Driven Metal, thank you for the super chat, my friend. He says, how is the production of the 2022 silver, 2022 Eagles? I only bought the 2021 coins for the new reverse. I know that they're seeing an increased demand. I believe they're seeing record demand for the 2022 Silver Eagles. I know there's an increase in demand this year, and I haven't checked the numbers on that, but there's a significant amount selling. And those have to be, I would think, a different blanket size than the Peace Dollar and the Morgan, just because those are 3.9, 1 ounce, 1 troy ounce round, whereas the others are 0.858, and that's because they're trying to make them the same size as the original silver dollars. So there's the size difference, volume, it's all, come on, it's physics. They're going to be different sizes, different blankets. However, I don't know how hard it is to get that blanket size, what they source them from. Again, the mint was unable to get them, probably some piss poor government planning. But it set me off on the hoe. Well, if the mint can't get the silver, if the mint's not able to get the silver they need, I mean, they're probably one of the biggest buyers in the world of silver. I mean, they produce a lot of the coins, monster box after monster box, millions of ounces a year. If they're unable to produce it and acquire it, there's probably a hiccup somewhere in there. Now let's just take a look at this. This is the old article I told you about. Again, this is a piece from, I believe it was 2016, yes. World is years away from running out of silver. Back in 2016, The key point I want to show you here is this prediction that this site came up with. And I'm not saying they're the best at everything and that they have 100% of their facts straight, but they did get this pretty close, and keep these numbers in mind. Because this is, again, 2016. They came up with this statement here early in 2016. They said that the global silver market could face a deficit of 126 million ounces by 2020 and could send silver prices surging. Again, they probably didn't take into account, a lot of the manipulations, the paper market, what they're going to try to pull, Wall Street, the spoofing, all the garbage that we've had to wade through and deal with. Now, however, and they didn't see the pandemic. They didn't see what, the current events that we're looking at now, but especially they did not see COVID coming and what that would do to supply side mining and all of that, and the increase in recycling. However, they did call this 126 million ounces being short. Now again, different data, different agencies and governments come up with different stuff regionally. But silver demand, we know, is surging and it can't be stopped. That's one of their points. We've been seeing this chart here. They show global silver demand going up. Industrial demand, investment demand, jewelry demand, kind of mostly constant. And then other demand down here in purple, I would probably consider that to be like EV, electric vehicles, perhaps, or maybe they fall into industrial as well. I don't know. I don't know what other would be, really. Maybe weapons and defense, because they're in a lot of weapons. We know that. Guided missiles and such. Now, you've got an increase in demand. However, global silver supply was really going nowhere back in 2016. If anything, it was they were having issues with the production, the mining. There was a little bit of decrease, I know, just with certain mines in Mexico, I believe, had some difficulty or were shutting down. And geopolitical risks in certain areas, turbulence, different parts of the world. Government sales, looks like on here, if you look at the red, increased a little bit in 2010, and then they was pretty flat. Hedging, 2012 and 13, looks like they were negative. And then mining, you got up here, and the global supply in the millions of ounces, really about 800 million ounces both years in 2014 and 15. And then, of course, the chart where silver comes from. We've always talked about Mexico, Peru, China, massive producers. The United States, only about 4%, so not a lot. Not a lot of production here. They've kind of depleted a lot of the silver in the United States, and I don't think a lot of people understand or even know that, but it just we don't produce a lot. Russia, only 5%. Not a lot of silver comes out of Russia either. You've got, again, China, 13% of and again, I want you to think of this for a second. 13% of silver comes out of China. 13% of silver comes out. I was going to say 13% of China comes out of silver. Goodness, dyslexic. It hit me. Now, with what's going on in the world today, the geopolitical stuff, I'm sure you're seeing the news. We'll talk about that in a minute also. But, China produces 13% of the silver, but also they produce iPhones, a lot of other things. They're also siding with Russia with the current events. There's probably going to be some trade problems. Might even be some sanctioning. Who knows what's going to go on? They're moving ships and aircraft and military units into the South China Sea. That news is like 12 hours old. There's a conflict brewing in that region. China's predicted to likely take and annex Taiwan soon, which is going to create a significant amount of risks and problems with, again, trade, all of that. There's currency wars taking place. China's buying their oil with yuan now. In short, they're kind of ticking off the corporate cabal known as the United States, which was once formerly a republic, but is now kind of becoming a dictatorship, or ruled by oligarchs and criminal crime families and people like the Bidens. Now you've got 13% of their silver might come off the market or not even be available. Let's say you can't even buy that anymore. That'd be a pretty big hit for a lot of the world, especially the West, as we refer to them, being Australia, Canada, the United States, and the NATO countries of Europe. Really, that's pretty much all they refer to when they say that. Mexico, probably not a lot of problems there. You don't see them in the news very often as having being in the same political debates and fights that everybody else is. Same with Peru. So maybe that's secure. Maybe we can look at that as a positive. They sit on the beach, they drink their Coronas, and they make street tacos, and then they produce a lot of the silver in the world. So hey, hats off to Mexico. Maybe that's why I love Mexican silver. However, silver supply can't keep up with demand. And I've got a lot of charts we're going to go through in a minute, so get used to looking at lines and numbers here. Silver supply is unable to keep up with demand. Again, silver supply-demand balance is in blue. Silver price per ounce dropping, of course, right? I mean, look at it. It doesn't make any sense. Completely disconnected, especially when it comes to this intersection. You had silver supply-demand balance just off the charts here rising, and then in the negative still, silver demand balance here on the side. This is negative. And then the price per ounce continuing to drop, even though we were seeing, shortages, increases in demand. Silver shortage by 2020. Now, this is where they start predicting stuff, this site. I'm going to show you something in a minute because we have the information. We're actually past 2020 for like 2 years now. And again, these types of things might not be exact. They might be 2 years off. But look at this. Here's where they're saying silver demand will be way up here. So remember these numbers. Over 1,400 million ounces up here. And then you've got silver supply in the red here at about, what is that, about 1,100 maybe? So there's a deficit there. There's a spread. And then above ground silver, negative in the green. This is, they're looking at a depletion or a decrease, a massive decrease in above ground silver availability here. If you want to read this whole article, it's from the past, so I'm not going to spend any more time on it. I just wanted to show you their points, their predictions. And then hit this one. Peak mine silver reached. This is from May 25th. Not too long ago. But look at this now. Spot silver jumped 28 to 28.32 an ounce. This is back in August 2020. Most of you probably remember this. In late January, silver kicked higher. They're going to talk about the Reddit Wall Street Bets sub post, the call to buy. You guys were buying before that. Many of us are still buying. A lot of those guys have since quit. I know they're still pretty strong. There's still some in there doing it, but it's not like it was back then, 2 years ago. And I still don't believe that it was the primary driver. It did good. I think it helped some of it, but again, I don't think we as the retail side have as big a move on this. I think there's bigger pockets out there, bigger parts of the industry that are gobbling this stuff up, even nation states. I mean, it was in that tight range between 26, 28, almost where we are today, right? Now look at this, though. According to the World Silver Survey by Silver Institute, global demand for silver this year is expected to outpace supply by 7 or 8%. Again, this is a dated article. Now, the concept of peak mine silver should be familiar to most readers and investors. It refers to the point when the production is no longer growing year after year and it reaches a peak and then it declines. But I want to show you something. Here we go. To illustrate, in 2020, mined silver jumped the most in a decade, owing to a number of coronavirus-related mine closures in Latin America where the majority of silver is produced. It fell 5.9%. It slumped the most in a decade. Okay, there's a massive decrease because they closed the mines. People weren't working. They had to mask up, social distance, and they just shut them down. Everyone was scared. Remember that? Now you wonder how much of this was all orchestrated, right? It fell 5.9% to 784.4 million ounces. This is again according to 2021 World Silver Survey. However, as a result of higher silver prices, this is how the free market kicks in. Getting silver shot up. In the second half of the year, global silver recycling rose by 7%. So people started digging through their drawers, turning in their cell phones, turning in their computers, breaking stuff apart. Wherever people could find silver, they found silver. It hit a 7-year high. So this was some of the most recycling of silver that they had seen in 7 years. 182.1 million ounces of scrap was generated from industrial end uses. It also climbed higher last year. Scrap generated from industrial end uses. Yeah. So again, a lot of scrap. 7-year high, 182.1 million ounces. Remember that number. Combined, therefore, we have a total silver supply reaching 966.5 million ounces in 2020. But how about demand? According to the World Silver Survey, After rising for 2 years, in 2020, silver demand weakened by 10%, with most of the losses attributed to a fall in industrial demand. Now, that makes sense because they shut down a lot of the industries, right? They just shut stuff down because of course, the COVID. They stopped producing things, consuming things, and so they saw a 10% weakening in demand resulting from the pandemic. While most of the mined gold is still around, either cast as jewelry or smelted into bullion and stored for investment purposes. This is a point we talk about quite often. The same cannot be said for silver. It's estimated that around 60%, this is huge, 60% of silver is utilized in industrial applications like solar panels and electronics, leaving only 40% for investing. Industrial fabrication slumped to a 5-year low in 2020, leaving total silver demand at about 896.1 million ounces. No peak silver here, right? Right. Demand of 896 was more than satisfied by the supply of 966.5. But, this is a huge but. This is what I want you to see. When we strip recycling out of the equation, so 182.1 million ounces, we get an entirely different result, i.e. 896.1 million ounces of demand minus 784.4 million ounces of supply. This leaves a deficit of 111.7, which means if they didn't recycle and find laying around in trash heaps or landfills or wherever, this 182 up here, I'm circling it, we would be left with a 111.7 million ounce deficit. What did these guys say back here again? Where am I at? 126. They were looking at 126 million ounce deficit by 2020. Looks like this here hit 111.7. Now again, there's some variables. There's some stuff that complicates this and makes it difficult to really nail down accurate and exact figures. However, you can't ignore the fact that obviously some of the recycling is not going to last forever, especially when you have 7% increases or 10% increases in recycling because of huge price spikes. It would be very easy to almost eliminate and consume all of the available recyclable goods that are out there. I would say if silver hit, let's pretend for a minute, come on now, play this with me. Let's pretend for a minute silver surged to $80 an ounce over a period of, let's say, the next 6 months or a year. This is hypothetical, obviously. Obviously now, again, the free market's going to kick into gear and the recycling is going to kick into high gear. You know, people are going to smell it out, sniff it out. Someone's going to find it. Wherever there's silver to be had, that's in an easy form. If someone can make a buck, they're going to do it. They're going to consume it. If they could break apart the computer I'm sitting on now after I throw it away and take out silver, they're going to do it. Your cell phone, they're going to do it. All of it. Solar panels, they'll grind them up, melt them down, whatever they can. Anyone who can get silver from anything, they're going to do it. But that's not going to last. That's not like a reliable source. It's not a long-lasting source. And I believe that recyclable silver, of course, we're always going to generate waste, right? That's always going to be there. But the large glut of unrecycled silver that's sitting out there, I believe that supply could be exhausted in a year or two. It would just disappear, it'd be gone. It wouldn't be able to make up, like, for example, you're not going to be able to create 111 or 200 million ounces of recyclable silver every year. It might dwindle to the point where, great, now you have 5 or 6 million. That's not going to make up for the gap. That's not going to make up for the huge gap between supply and demand. And we've already seen that. Because I'm going to read that paragraph again. When we strip the recycling out of that equation, we get an entirely different result. The 896.1 million ounces of demand minus the 784.4 million ounces of supply leaves, again, a deficit of 111.7 million ounces. Now, this is significant because it's saying even though industrial demand for silver, which makes up about 60% of usage, got slammed due to the pandemic, the total demand, industrial plus investment, was greater than mine supply. And that was with a huge decrease, again, in just world activity because of COVID. Imagine if everything was normal. There was no shutdowns. if they ever get back to fully operating and fully normal and mass producing electric vehicles and solar panels and the world just kind of clicks on for a little bit, there's no way they're going to be able to meet demand with mine supply, that is, peak. So that's why, again, I believe we truly have reached peak mined silver. And again, I think we could reach peak silver available on the market once they start exhausting the recyclable stuff, the trash and the waste mining. Only by recycling 182.1 million ounces could silver demand be satisfied in 2020. This is significant stuff. Significant. Now, this is their definition of peak mined silver. Will the silver mining industry be able to produce or discover enough silver that it's able to meet demand without having to recycle? And we'll take a look at that in a second. If the numbers reflect that, peak mined silver would be debunked. It didn't happen in 2020, and according to the Silver Institute, it won't happen in 2021 either. Now, I did a video a while back, earlier last year, if you go into the archives, and it's just titled Peak Silver. We talked a lot about it. And a lot of the calls and predictions out there are about 2034, 2032, but in the 2030 range. Now, the years are ticking by. We're at 2022 now. We got 8 more in this decade, and then boom, we're in the 2030s. And in that decade, they're really talking about some serious problems with the silver supply. So this is ways out, right? This is for the patient. Remember now, wealth is typically the flow of the capital from the inpatient to the patient. Hopefully, you guys in the crowd right now, you in the chat, members of the channel, you are definitely by definition you are the patient. So the wealth should flow to you. If that saying, that little adage is true, you know, the wealth flowing from the inpatient to the patient. You're the patient, and you should be rewarded if this works out to be accurate, this peak silver situation. Now, again, people have been calling for it for a while, but we'll take a look at the charts here. Let's look at the numbers. With silver mines returning to full capacity, the Silver Institute expects silver output to rebound from last year's doldrums, rising 8.2% year on year to 848.5 million ounces. The biggest increase will be from the countries most heavily impacted by the pandemic, such as Mexico, Peru, and Bolivia. The Silver Institute predicts total supply will increase 8% to 1,056.3 million ounces. But again, this includes recycling. We always need to remember this. This includes recycling. Taking 196.2 million ounces of forecasted recycling out of the equation, we have a mine supply of 848.5 million ounces, against the Silver Institute's 2021 demand forecast of 1.154. So that's 1,154.3 million ounces. That's leaving another forecasted deficit, and one that is even larger than 2020's. This time it's 305.8 million ounce deficit. That's a big deficit, 305.8 million ounces. That's a lot bigger than the prediction back there of 126. So now we're getting into that range of some significant deficits if you take out the waste mining. And I believe that the recycling, I would imagine it upticked, especially recently with the surge in prices. When we saw this explosion recently in silver prices, you know for a fact that somewhere in the world that affected some of the recycling. And so there's probably an uptick. People are turning it in, getting it, the waste mining again. Again, total demand includes industrial fabrication rising to an 8-year high of 524 million ounces, plus jewelry fabrication, 184.4 million ounces, plus silverware for 43.1 million ounces, and bars and coins of 252.8 million ounces, plus silver ETFs, 150 million ounces. Oh, those guys don't even count. They just have paper. Global demand forecast. Here you go. This is a chart for it, and it's all over the place, but you can see the silver price here. It's the bar, the solid bar that just travels through it. Silver prices since 2020 been increasing steadily, it looks like on here. Coming into 2021, we saw a little bit of a dip, and since then, we're going up a little bit. We're still hanging out in this range between 25 and 30, just knocking on 30. You've got, looks like a huge increase, though, in this industrial demand. over here in the 2017-18, but it's flatlined. It came up again in 2021. I do think we're going to see a increase in the industrial demand. Photography has always been dwindling. Very few use it for that anymore. Investment, kind of steady, if anything, increasing over the last 3 years. Again, jewelry, kind of constant in there. But there's some raucous demand. Silver Institute's demand figure is quite conservative. We expect it to be much higher, given that the loose monetary policy of the Federal Reserve, this is what we've talked about a lot, and other central banks is likely to continue, keeping bond yields and interest rates low, resulting in strong uptake for precious metals and the numerous industrial applications for silver stemming from silver's high conductivity, which appear to be growing in leaps and bounds, particularly those pertaining to green technologies like we talked about. Now, this article didn't really come out when inflation was blowing up in the news. They don't really mention it as much. They talk about the Fed, but I think that the inflation discussions and the worldwide acknowledgement that inflation is not only real, but it's significant, it's intense, it's surging, it's brutal, the words they use, and it's not transitory, has created a significant amount of energy towards silver. I think it actually probably blew these models away and broke some of the predictions that a lot of these institutes come up with. I don't really care about the silver and the 5G thing. I know there's a lot of demand for that. It's increasing consumption and demand. Also auto. We're seeing a lot of that. Massive increase in electronics market silver demand. It's blowing up. And there is nothing but deficits when it comes to the mining side of this. They're having to make up for the deficit with recycling. Now, you would think that would create a problem, right? You'd think that that would create pressure, a squeeze, if you will. You would think silver prices would react to this. Well, they haven't really yet, but I think that they will. I think we've seen grumblings of that. The conclusion, it says here, all of the above taken into account, industrial demand for silver is projected to notch an 8-year high of 524 million ounces in 2021. It seems clear to us, given this relatively brief analysis, the role of silver is changing. Once considered the ugly stepsister of gold, either referred to as a poor man's gold for its affordability or the devil's metal for its volatility, silver has been given a new makeover as a green metal, the most conductive of all the metals. Silver is ideal for use in solar panels, 5G, automotive applications, and even electric vehicles, which use up to twice as much silver as regular vehicles. Yeah, like 1 or 2 ounces per car. It's blowing up, the demand. And all this is going to do is, I believe, continue to put pressure because the mines cannot keep up. Mine production of silver worldwide from 05 to 21. Now just look here from about 2016. It goes up a little bit. 2019 starts to drop. 2020, of course, it dropped because of the vid. 2021. But we're seeing it almost plateau here. And I want to show you a series of charts that kind of point to that. I'll try to blow them up for you. But again, keep in mind, the main prediction from this was that we wouldn't see peak silver until about 2032. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if that includes, I don't think it includes, no, actually that's what if you look at the numbers from the U.S. Geological Survey, if I recall correctly, that did include the recyclables, the waste mining. And maybe that's why those numbers are for the 2030s. Because maybe that's when we finally run out of the ability to keep up with and keep this at bay. Keep this lion at a distance. That lion being absolute peak silver. And, the inability of these people to hide it anymore. That there is a significant disruption and a problem with production versus, supply. Or supply and production versus the demand. That being the consumption of both industries, all of you in the chat, your ability to acquire bars and rounds and coins. Here are some pretty big mines, the Fresnillo and Saucedo mines production and average yield. You can see Fresnillo and Saucedo productions up here. And the Fresnillo only production over here in the lighter color. And then the chart here is the total average yield though. Total average yield. And this is ounces per ton. You can see the ounces per ton just continuing to drop from 2005 all the way through to 2018. Ounces per ton, that's the big takeaway here, just dropping. They're having to work harder, though, in order to produce any material at all. They're still producing silver and getting it out of these mines, but the quality of the ore is dropping, and so which means they're having to work significantly hard to keep these numbers up here out, 37.8, 37.7, 34.9. To create those millions of ounces, they're having to really grind and break a lot more rock than they used to because the quality's just not there. They're going deeper, and they're running out of silver. That's essentially what that means. They're running out. U.S. domestic annual silver production. Now, again, we only make 4% of the world's production, right? So big deal, but you can see that it's dropping. So they're exhausting whatever's left here in the United States from 2000 to 2018. So 18 years, it's just dropping every single decade. It looks like, 63.7, 55.9. You go all the way to 2009, all of a sudden it's 40.2. 2011, 35. Bounces around, hits a peak of like 37.6 in 2014. Starts dropping again. 2017 hits 33.1. 2018, 29.7. Another chart here. And wait, we're going to talk about copper too. I think copper's going to see some serious issues. I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing copper explode. I think, believe it or not, man, copper's like it's like the Tiny Tim. Maybe, and we used to make fun of Tiny Tin. Mrs. Maltby used to call silver Tiny Tin. She liked silver, and I used to tease it. I'd make fun of it, the crippled little cousin of gold. But what are we going to call copper? Because copper's coming. He's like that sleeper in the race.
Crippled copper?
Little crippled copper. But he's not so crippled anymore. You watch the prices on copper, it's going to surge. You heard it here. You know it is. Keep those pre-82 pennies. Copper surging. U.S. mine silver production, metric tons. Flatline. Really, this is going back to 1860. It really blew up here, 1870s and 80s, all the way up to 1890s. You guys know this is when the Morgans were really getting cranked out. That Pikes Peak silver lode, Colorado, Nevada, Arizona. They were just finding silver all over the Rockies. And they produced quite a bit. But ever since then, you come into the 1920s, starts dropping. 30s, depression hits, not a lot of production there. The wartime era of the 40s, they're probably cranking it out. But we see a huge decrease in silver production. And then from 1950, just kind of flat all the way through to the 90s. Little increase there, some mine expansion, new technologies happening. And then, of course, peaked, it looks like, in the United States as far as silver production in recent memory. It peaked around 2000. And we just haven't been there since. And ever since then, it's been dropping in this country. Again, U.S. mine silver production in metric tons, dropping. Here's a ore grade. Let me get this for everyone to see. Different countries. The grade of the ores, the quality. Let me get that centered for you. I'm working on it. I got to do this myself. Every screen's different. So I got to get it to where you guys can see it just about right. There you go. Ore grade percentage. All right. This is for copper now. So I told you I was going to throw copper in here. Copper ore grade also dropping. Now remember, copper and silver are closely related because a lot of times zinc and copper mines are where people are getting silver from. It's like they're not out there exploring and trying to find silver on its own. If you know how a lot of these mines work, they're primarily looking for copper and zinc and other metals, even gold. And as they mine them and find them, they have a byproduct, which is silver. And they'll, of course, extract it, use it, sell it. Now, if they start shutting copper mines down, or they become not profitable to get the copper out, and there's only a little bit of silver in those mines anyway, you're going to see a decrease in silver production with a decrease in copper production. So as you see this decrease in copper grade, that means the silver grade is probably decreasing as well, because they go close hand in hand. They get found together oftentimes. So Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, United States, Spain, India, all of them seeing a decrease in copper ore grade. All of them, steadily. Especially, out here, you look at 1980s to 2010 range. I know that's a pretty bizarre chart. I mean, you're zoomed way out. You're looking all the way back into the 1700s here, but still steadily decreasing. They've been, humans have been exhausting and mining copper for a long time. I mean, ever since the Bronze Age, right? We've been in Copper Age. This is what both of those. We've been, of course, bronze is made with copper, but ever since those ages, humans have been extracting and using copper, and it's been decreasing ever since. It looks like since the 1700s. Mine production from top 10 largest silver producing countries. So this is, again, back to silver producing countries. New mine supplies are in decline. This goes back to 2000. You can see it increasing all the way up to peaked again around 2016, 2017. Looks like all of the countries, Peru, Bolivia, Australia, Argentina, Mexico, Chile, Poland, China, Russia, Guatemala. It looks like mine production from the top 10 largest silver producing countries is on the decline, dropping. There's a lot of charts like that. Again, all of them touching on similar topics and that are related to the discussion of, silver production is declining, silver demand is increasing, the number of mines is decreasing, the quality of the mines, the quality of the ore. They're having problems with the copper mines. They're running out of ore. They're running out of copper that's quality. Some of them are closing. Again, there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of mines, dozens and hundreds, just multitudes of companies throughout the world. They all have their own views of this. They might have their own production. Some of them are still being profitable. Some are not. You can't look at it. You have to look at all of them. And some of them are going to obviously try to create and produce more silver as the price goes up, and they might exhaust their mine even sooner. The production rates will change with the price of these commodities. As the price of silver rises, they're going to attempt to exhaust their mines quicker. That's just how greed works. That's how it works. That's a free market. If the price of silver surges to $50 to $100 an ounce, these places are going to work around the clock because they don't know how long it's going to stay there, but they're going to want to try to get as profitable as they can, and they're going to want to crank out ore. It's there. It's money in the ground waiting for them. Literally, it's money. And we just saw silver hit $25 an ounce again. Again, it's open right now. It's trading, but it's bouncing around. It's been climbing today a little bit if you look at the hour charts. But to answer the question that we opened the video with, have we reached peak mine silver? I'd say that the numbers show that we have. I think we have. I don't think it's going to get any better. I don't think we're going to see some, outside of some miracle find, which with technology that's these days and exploration, which I keep a pretty close eye on, it would take, nothing short of a miracle for people to find, some new insane amount of silver someplace. They've crawled over this globe. I'm telling you, geologists, explorers, representatives from mining companies, they've done everything they can to find the easy stuff. The easy stuff's been found. Those mines have been essentially exhausted, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to produce silver and now even copper for the prices and the amounts that they want. I mean, the ore quality, it's just nothing they can do about that. They can't change the fact that the ore qualities are dropping. The amount of grams per ton are dropping. Yeah, it's just the way it is. They're having to make up for the deficit with recycling, with waste mining. That's going to run out. We know that. That's the free market, again, is going to attack that supply. That supply is going to diminish. It's going to go away. You can't recycle hundreds of millions of ounces forever. Eventually, those waste piles are gone, those devices are gone, and that silver is consumed. And the crazy part is if you look at this from if you take a zoom out, and you think of how much silver is lost, consumed, obliterated through the industrial side and demand, eventually the recyclable amount that enters that pool and enters the supply side, as you do that loop, recycle it, create it, sell it, have a product that gets consumed, at some point it gets recycled again, comes back into supply, gets bought up, gets turned into a product. Somewhere in that loop, you're losing silver, and silver is being destroyed, or it's being lost forever. Eventually, the available supply of silver, that silver pool that we all look at, that giant amount of bullion that's out there being sold every day, eventually it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and diminishing. As a matter of fact, you could say all the silver in the crust that hasn't been mined and all the silver that's above ground, if you took all of it, the stuff that's in your vaults, the stuff that's out there, the stuff that's yet to be waste mined, represents one giant pool of silver. And every day that pool gets smaller, regardless of whether or not it's out of the ground. Every day the amount of silver that's available on the entire planet is getting smaller because some of it is absolutely destroyed and gone, consumed beyond finding. Again, they can't waste mine it. There's the silver that gets completely obliterated in some of these processes that are out there. That being true, that means the supply of silver is always diminishing. It's always in a state of diminishment, whether or not they're mining it or how much they're producing. Hope that makes some sense to you. Other factors that affect all of this. Well, there's a huge economic factors going on. We've talked about inflation. We've talked about the trade stuff. I posted this story earlier. There's a lot of news out. As you know, American influence is on the downturn. It's just happening. It's diminishing. It's being debased, just like the currency, just like the fiat dollar. We are being devalued. American opinion is being devalued, debased, diminished on the world scene. People don't care anymore. The Saudi Arabian said, hey, the Saudi prince just recently said, I don't care what Biden thinks of me. He's not even taking his phone calls, okay? Maduro doesn't care, has no respect for us. Chinese, they don't care. I mean, have you seen the tweets lately from the Chinese government and the representatives? They don't care. They're telling us basically to stuff it, that we're hypocrites. They have no respect for us. And nor should they. And look, they're no saints either. I mean, I know. They're no saints either. Hate the state. I don't care what state it is. Hate them all. Whatever government. Is it a government? I hate it. Is it a government? I hate it. Hate the state. So don't put me in one camp like I support one or the other. I don't care about any of them. I hate the state. All right? They're all evil. They're all bastards. But, confirmed, India just bought oil from Russia at a discount and in rupees to rubles. All right? They're operating outside of the dollar. Nobody cares about the dollar anymore. The dollar days are numbered. The dollar is being diminished, devalued. It's gone. This is the real story that you're not going to hear on the news. It's a global realignment, ladies and gentlemen. Global realignment happening right here. And he also said down here, I'm going to open it up so you can read it. We are talking about India, a nuclear power with a population of 1.3 billion and the world's third largest importer of oil. The quantity here is irrelevant. India, like Pakistan, China, and others, is signaling it is not against Russia. The West is equal on the international community, to the international community. The international community is basically saying, look, we're going to start trading, doing our own thing, outside the dollar. America, you don't call the shots anymore. I mean, people are starting to question the world reserve status of the dollar. Like, why? Who put you in charge? Who gave you the right to have the reserve currency of the world? That's being challenged. It's being threatened on the world scene. That's going to change the market for silver. That's going to change how silver is valued. All of these things, oil, gas, all the commodities. There's going to be an economic restructuring here, and it might not be in dollars. One of these days, you might not even consider the value of your metal in dollars because the dollar is so worthless. Think of that for a second. One day, you might only refer to your metals. Well, hopefully, you always refer to them as their ounces, and you know about that. The ounce value. Their value is in ounces, right? I mean, it's the metal itself is the money. I get that. But there may come a day when you log online, and when you're looking at stuff like this, a silver chart, it's not in dollars. You're thinking, okay, what is my silver today worth in euros or pounds or rupees or rubles or yen or yuan? I don't care. Make up a currency. Make up a name. How much it's worth in something else, whatever the unit. It might not be USD, though. You might not even consider it in USD because the USD is just not worth talking about anymore. It's done. It's extinct. It's gone. It's like talking about triceratopses or Tyrannosaurus rexes or pterodactyls or diplodocuses, right? Or mastodons or dodo birds. Name something that's extinct because one day that's the category the dollar is going to find itself. Eventually, all fiats end up extinct. Typically, on average, 30 years? So the dollar's heading there. Now, Russia... oil sale to India complicates Biden's efforts. Yeah, it does. People are laughing at him. He's a clown. India is buying discounted oil, Russian oil, despite the U.S. ban, which could help boost its beleaguered economy. So is China. China's dealing with it. Everyone's doing their own thing. Nobody cares about the Russian or the American opinion anymore. All right. You know, the funny thing is there's certain European countries that are still buying it too because they have to. They don't have a choice. Ultimately, coming back to the question again, have we reached peak mined silver? Yeah, I think we have. And that's just one factor that's going to change the price of silver going forward. Just one. That's just one. That whole discussion we just had, we've been sitting here talking about this for, obviously I've been rambling on for a while, but that's just one tiny bullish fact that should push silver going forward. The amount of it is going down. The demand for that diminishing supply is going up. This is very basic economics. I mean, you can't get more basic than this. It's not complicated. It really isn't. You really don't have to make a lot of videos on this. I shouldn't have to talk this long, but you got to really break it down for some people because they're sitting there eating your crayons as you're trying to draw them a picture of how simple this is. It's like, look, guy, here's a thing that shows you how much silver is on the planet. And it's a line going down. There's less every year. That's just the way it is. That's not going to change. We can't change that. You can poop in one hand and blow a wish in the other and see which one fills up first. You're not going to find more. It's diminishing, the amount available. All right, good. You got it? Great. Here's another line I'm going to put on the same chart. That is the demand for silver. Okay, there's more people every year. More demand, more industries are finding out about it or needing it. Technology is changing, increasing that demand. It's being consumed more and more and more and more. The demand is going up. Wait a second. The supply is going down, the production's going down, and the demand is going up. What is that going to do to the price? If I put the price on that same chart, it's going to drive the price up. Wait a second. There's another fact here. We got to put this on the chart too. The fiat currencies that silver is valued in and that people refer to its price in. Wait a second. The fiat currencies values are all going down. Why? Because people are losing faith in them. Because they printed too many of them. Because they've increased the money supply. So now we throw that chart on there. Oh man, my head's starting to hurt. What's going on here, man? What's going on? I'm confused. The currencies, their value is going down. The supply of silver is going down. The demand for silver is going up. But the price is doing this. Look at it. Look at it. Ooh, that's a huge 5-year bull flag, right? I'd say so. I'd say that's a bull flag. It's for 5 years. Look at a bigger chart. Let's zoom out. Look at that. Ooh. You can almost hear the wind blowing in that chart. That goes way back here to 1903. Just flat, of course, for a long time. Oh, until something happened. What was that? Oh, until they really started wrecking the dollar, huh? What happened when Bretton Woods shut down? Where's that at? August 71? Right about here? Where am I looking? Trying to get there. February. Oh, December. Right about there. We'll just call it September. Oh, July. Right about there where you see that dotted line. And then ever since the dollar was unpegged from gold and they can just make fiat at will, the fractional reserve trash paper coupon note, unbacked, just running by faith and credit of the United States. Look at this. Volatility, chaos, spikes in silver. But then suddenly, after it was settled out here, starting about August of 2000, October 2002, we saw something happening. And silver started rising and rising and rising and rising. They tried to shut it down. They shut that thing down. Shut it down. You know the meme. Got up to $50, right? And then they slammed it. They couldn't let it go. I mean, that would have been catastrophic back in 2011. They slammed it down. Ooh, they got it all the way down here to like $11, $10. You guys remember that back in the COVID days? And then it shot way back up here, getting up into the 30s, right there, about $30.04 almost, right? And now you can see where we're at. Back here. that trading range between $14 and $17, $18 an ounce. We've talked all about mining silver, what it costs, the all-inclusive costs per ounce sold. We've talked so much about the production of silver and mining, what it takes to get this stuff out of the ground. I just made a video, a couple months ago where we talked about what does it take? What does it cost to make this stuff, to get it out of the ground? We're there. They're selling it at a discount, but we're there. It was there for a while. I mean, it's right in this range. They're selling this stuff for basically to pay for their fuel. They're selling this to pay for gas. Oh, wait a second. Gas and diesel, I forgot all about that. That's all going up in price. They use that to mine silver and gold. That's not even priced in yet. You wait till these mining companies start submitting the bill to pay for the diesel to run their equipment. You're really going to freak out then. It's not going to be $25 an ounce anymore. Again, you're not going to see silver at these prices forever. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put that right out there right now. I'd say if you look at the facts and you look at the data that I've come up with, you look at this video, you look at the other stuff, peak silver, you look at mine production, the cost per ounce sold, labor costs, human labor costs, price of fuel and diesel, the reparation costs, the environmental reparation costs, the environmental competition to buy and consume what's out there, the recyclable silver just to make solar panels, to make Teslas, all that stuff. You start looking at all this and you're looking at $25 silver right now, right? But wait a minute. Show me where you can get it for that. I'll wait. I'm sitting right here. Somebody throw a link down where someone's selling silver for $25 an ounce. I'm waiting. I'll wait all day. Let's see. There is right now currently 207 viewers. There's 207 of you in the chat. And you mean to tell me not one of you can come up with a place to buy silver for, I'm talking $25.05 an ounce right now in physical form. It's got to be in bars or rounds. Come on. I'm waiting. It's because you can't find it. No one's going to find it. You're not going to find it. As a matter of fact, how about you and me go on a little quick journey? You guys want to go on a journey with me? Who wants to go look for a Comex bar? Hey, Mr. Pushba, 20. Thanks for the super chat. It goes, long-time listener, first-time super chat. You should look into gold, silver, digital currency, Kinesis money. I've heard of them. I have heard of them. Let's see. Downside is it's not in your house. Upside is it's liquid, spendable, and you get a passive yield. I have looked into it a little bit. I've heard the name, and many of you have thrown that down for me over the last year or two. I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the tip. Keep going. I want to take a look here for Comex bars. Let's see what we can find. Right? We've done this before. Let's go for it. First journey, we'll go to SD Bullion. We'll just see. I want to see what they go for. That's because that's the cheapest really bar that I can find on the market. Is you're going to find is a Comex, right? 1,000 ounce bars. Typically, that's what they trade in. That's what they have. Let's just go. We're going to look for a silver bar, 1,000 ounces. See if they're available. See what they're going for. It's the 1,000 ounce bars right now. Okay, here they are. Now, this is remarkable. This is kind of crazy because I remember I've looked at these my whole life. I've never owned one. I've never held one. I can almost for certain say I've never touched a Comex bar. I just haven't swam in those oceans yet. But take a look at something here because I can tell you I've looked at them for a long time. Now, these are 1,000 ounce bars essentially. Let's go to the closest one. Here's 1,001. That's as close as, because again, these are inaccurate. This one's 1,009. That's 1,007. That's 1,019. When you're making bars this big, sometimes you spill a little bit. Imagine spilling. Oh, whoops. 1,019. We put 20 extra ounces in this guy's bar. So obviously, this one here is 1,001. That's pretty close. $26,817.67. That's almost $1.80 over spot. $1.80 for 1,000 ounce rough bar that still has to be broken down into plankets or little smaller bars and such. Takes a lot of human labor to make other stuff. And even to make a big bar, it's pretty easy. To pour a bar like this is a lot easier than making a silver eagle or a Krugerrand or a maple leaf. Truly, it's much easier. And that's where the seigniorage charges I've talked about come from. You talk about seigniorage charge, that's the production and handling of smaller units of metal, especially coin. To make a big bar like this, for you and me, this is as close as we can really get to like that silver that comes out of a mine. Like in the chain of custody for silver, This is as close as you and I are ever going to get to like the Diore bars or whatever, the rough bars that still aren't even purified. This is really the biggest and the least pure you would ever want to go at our level as a consumer at the retail. The small guys, the Maxwell Morrises, the Mike L's, the Owen Mays, the Jeff Kellers, the Nates, the James Richters, the Mark Gutierrez's and the Rusty Bantamers, the Johnny Boy Silvers, the Paul S. and the Ray Finkels, the Rolf Steiners, the Dr. Shafties, the Jeff Kellers. This is as big, as bulky, as cumbersome, as hard to move as you'd ever want to go. And you're still paying about $2 over spot. You want to know something crazy? When I was a kid, I was buying Silver Eagles for like 50 cents to $1 over spot. Back then, when you bought a Comex bar, it was literally spot. It was like spot, maybe a penny over. It was nothing. Nothing. You never, ever sold silver for $1 or $2 over spot. If you took a time machine back into certain periods of trading these commodities and you told guys that 1,000-ounce bars were trading at $2 over spot, they would call you a liar. They would say that it's not true. It just wasn't the way it was. Look at this again. This is silver's right now at $25 an ounce. That's the paper trading prices currently, right? Before it opened tonight, silver was actually under 25. It was like 24. They haven't really updated their prices that well on, where was I at? Where's my link for, I lost it. There it is. I gotta close. I got so many links open. But you're looking at this, again, $2 over spot for 1,000-ounce stuff. We're talking about a premium. That's huge. So just start there. I know a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to pay over spot. I don't want to pay too much over. Premiums, I haven't seen. Let's just go to it real quick. So these are $2 over, right? About, roughly. Let's go to 1 ounce silver rounds. As low as 28 to 29 here. But that, again, you have to buy them in bulk. So let's just go to the cheapest, bulkiest bestseller here. This little buffalo round here, right? 1 ounce silver buffalo, SD bullion. Again, they fool you when they say, oh, it's 28. You got to buy a lot of them, like 1,500 of them. You got to buy 1,000, 1,500 ounces just to get to these prices here. Most people are going to do check or wire for 1 to 20. That's $29.63. So that's $4.63 over spot. Bitcoin, $4.93 over spot. So almost $5 if you're buying it with crypto. Most people are doing PayPal or credit or debit card, right? Most of you. That's how I would probably go if I was doing this. It's $30.85. So you're paying $5.85, almost $6 over spot for the worst of the worst. That is one but ugly strike. It's just silver. It's not even a good rendition. This side, the obverse is not bad compared to what they're copying, but it's just not that. It's not a pretty coin. Kind of not a quality bison rendition, but it's 4.9 silver. It's for silver. It's silver. In my opinion, these are kind of the worst rounds you can get. They're not attractive to me. I don't like generic rounds. I got to be honest with you. I never have these kinds. These are just not pretty to me. They're just, if you just want to buy silver, this is fine. It's just like buying ounces. I'd rather buy a 10-ounce bar from Scottsdale and at least have a pretty little pirate-looking loaf. You know me. I like poured silver. I like a loafy bar. I feel rich when I got something like that. But these, I don't know. They just look like amusement ride tokens or something I'd throw while I'm riding a merry-go-round, into a clown's mouth on the wall to win a prize.
Isn't that kind of how the world is right now, though?
Kind of.
Riding into a clown's mouth.
Yeah, I hear the music. I just want to walk around and buy cotton candy. It's like, hey, if I'm at a circus, if I'm at a clown show like the Modern World, at least give me cotton candy or a caramel apple every day. I should be able to walk down the street. The whole world should be broadcasting clown music because that's what we live in. And I should be able to just find a candy apple or a caramel apple or some cotton candy or popcorn. There should be some guy juggling. I would at least feel like okay, I get it. This is Clown World. It's, we got the honkler out there. Everyone gets to pick whatever gender fluidity they want to be and pan this
Very
and trans.
colorful
Very
parades.
colorful. People put purple hair. Some people have green hair. Some people have pink hair. Some people have whatever. I mean, hey, guys are wearing makeup. We got the bearded lady. I mean, we're almost there. Just give me the music and the candy and I'm cool, man.
I had purple hair once.
You did. Anyways, oh my goodness. Back to the silver discussion. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're paying $5 or $6 over spot. That's the way it is. You can't change it. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is a crazy world we live in. That's what it is. It's 5 or 6 over. Get used to it. It's not going back. Premiums are here. I mean, look at this. You want to see something crazy? Let me show you something crazy. Look at this. Look at this. 38.61. That's just low though. That's low. They don't fool you. You got to click on it. That's if you buy like 1,000 of them. How many of you are going to log in here and buy 1,000 Eagles? I mean, I wish you could. Hey, David Crumry the second. I always forget the second part of it. David Crumry the second. You're called into the court presence. And thank you for your super chat. David Crumry the second. If someone has a number after the name, you have to say their name in a British accent. That's a rule. I came up with that rule years ago. If you're the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth or the seventh, I'll probably announce you like you're walking into a court.
I mean, you actually changed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have
name.
Maxwell Morris. I mean, like if Maxwell Morris, you just say, hey, Maxwell Morris. He's my friend. I like the guy. Good dude. He's a moderator here. But if his name was Maxwell Morris the fifth, you would have to say it like, ladies and gentlemen, presenting Maxwell Morris the fifth, Duke of Elbow. Yeah. So that's how you would say it. But he's
And the lady Morris.
And the lady Morris. But he's not,
don't know
what? He's not a fifth. I don't see Maxwell Morris the
maybe
fifth.
he
Is he the fifth? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. Are you one of the fifth?
What
Anyways.
the channel needs to know is Junius actually changed my cat's name, basically.
Oh yeah.
His name is Archimedes, but for whatever reason,
Well, you called him
Lord
Archie.
Archibald.
Well, yeah, So it's an interesting story. We had little Archimedes, right? But she never called him that. She only ever calls him Archie. Archie. It's always Archie. And so I call him Archie. And I was like, you know what? If his name's Archie, in my mind, his name is Archibald. So I did. I did a legal name change on Archie, for me anyway, and I call him Archibald. But I oftentimes refer to him as Lord Archibald. Lord Archibald. Lord Archibald. And he comes to it. He knows that he's Lord Archibald. Because he's a lord. If you knew this cat, he's a lord. He's a big fat lord. But anyways. But back to silver. Got a distraction there. Look at Eagles. I mean, $40 an ounce. $42 if you're paying what you guys are paying for credit card or PayPal. Again, silver's $25 an ounce right now. I mean, $42 minus 25. Do the math, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it for a second. You're locking at, I mean, the premiums now are almost, it's bizarre. The premium is what silver was trading at a year ago. It's $17. $17 premiums just to get government strikes of some of our favorite coins that we've ever looked at. I mean, you go back, Maple Leafs. Just look at Maples for a second. All right, I'm going to open them up. These are notify me. You can't even get those. 2022s, here we go. $35. $15 premium for one of your favorite coins. A good coin, a beautiful round, a beautiful strike. But it's the premiums are for an ounce of silver when what silver is trading. So think of this for a second now. I'm going to take you into a really scary place. Does that mean if we make up this bizarre rule that the premiums on some of our favorite coins are what silver was trading at a year ago? Follow my line of logic here now for a second. Because silver was about $15, $16 about a year ago for a lot of us, for a long time. Trading down there. Imagine if the premium on coins was suddenly $25. Think of that for a second. If a year from now, 2 years from now, you have a $25 premium. Now add that to what the silver price we think it might be then. Let's say silver 2 years from now or a year from now is $40 an ounce. Just go to 40 for me. Be conservative here. Let's play this game with me. Think of this logic. Let's say it's $40 and the premium is 25 for coins like that. That means just for one Maple or Krugerrand or Eagle or Britannia, you're going to be paying like $65. $65. I want you to put that in your head right now and just think of it for a second. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Time travel. That's time travel noises. You just traveled through a portal with me. Your eyes are closed still. We are now in the year 2024. Silver is trading at $40 an ounce. The premium is $25 an ounce.
Wait a second.
And when you open your eyes, you look at a screen and you see Maples and Eagles and Krugerrands, and they're all selling for $65, $67, $68. What? Now, close your eyes. Traveling all the way back to the year 2022. What decisions do you make? What do you do? What do you do? You just saw the future. You just traveled through time and space with Junius Maltby. And you know where it's going to be. I don't know about you, but I'm buying silver. That's to me, everything we've talked about, everything we've looked at, the logic train, I'm on it. I'm on whoop, whoop. I'm on the logic train here. And that train of thought tells me that, look, I kind of see where this is going. The direction of this is pretty clear to me. Silver's $25 an ounce right now, but I can buy it for 27, 28. I'm going to try to find some rounds. I'm going to try some bars, and I'm going to take advantage of this.
Junius.
Yeah.
They haven't heard your radio voice yet.
Man.
It threw me off and scared the shit out of me the first time I heard it.
Anyways, that's my radio impersonation.
I mean, who does that?
You can make it more clear. When I played combat, or when I played with my little make-believe world with my brother and all my buddies when we were little boys, you had to have me there because I could make the whole experience of playing with Star Wars guys or whatever more realistic.
Puts his hands over his mouth.
Anyways.
It blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah, anyways.
I remember you messed with me big time the first time you started doing that. I thought you were playing something on your phone and I just didn't believe it.
Yep. That's the radio impersonation.
You could honestly throw off feds with that.
I've done it on a plane before. I've actually been sitting on a plane and started talking like the pilot with a radio. So it sounded like it was coming out of the intercom. And the people around me were freaking out. Like they would be looking up at their little speaker and they're like, do you hear that? Like there was a conversation that developed between the couple in front of me. Because I was acting like I was reading a magazine, just like looking around like I wasn't doing anything. And she kept telling like her husband, like, hey, do you hear that? The pilot's like trying to say something over the radio. And they were having this debate over it and what it was saying. And I would interrupt it. Every once in a while I'd do that. And of course, you know what I'm playing, like it's loud enough to where once you get a couple seats away, nobody hears it. Yeah. But they totally thought that they were hearing a radio broadcast through the speakers.
I always think to myself, if our house was ever wiretapped for whatever reason,
I'll screw them up. I'll mess with them.
They would have no clue how many people lived here because of all your voices.
Mike L. Mike L. Let's see. My favorite is when he does the Russian. What is my Russian ogre voice? And then the British peasant talking about his last copper. Oh, yeah, I like that. My little poor papa. I'm down to my last few copper. I'm going to buy me some bread this week, you know. We've got to eat the soup, we will. Because I'm down to my last coppers, I am. I haven't seen a coin in my back of the fortnight then. Yeah. There we go. And then
I just thought they had to hear your radio voice because it gets me every time.
Yes. Well,
That's
ladies.
a good boog skill.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could throw my voice off walls, make it sound like it's coming from someplace else. That would really throw them off when they're doing their ops. All right. And then man guy dude likes my Indian accent the best.
Oh,
that one got me in big trouble. That got me in trouble one day. I did an Indian accent on a live one day, and man, like I'll talk like anybody. I'll talk like stupid Italians, New Yorkers. I'll talk like a Russian person. I could do a Mexican accent. I've done a lot of different accents. Wolf Blitzer. No one's really ever come after me and gotten upset. But man, I did an Indian voice once, and
I swear, like 200 people from
they
India
lost
flooded
it.
the live chat.
Yeah.
And were pissed.
Man, I had the entire Ganges River community in my chat
Junius,
trying to attack
now
me.
You have to.
It was great. And I don't mean any offense by it. That's the thing. I offend everybody equally. And I love Indian food. I even like Indian music. I like Indian movies. All that stuff. They're good people. Slumdog Millionaire is a great movie. Great movie. Phenomenal. Except for the part where he falls into the poopy. That really grossed me out. I might even watch that movie again. But sometimes I'll just be like, what are you talking about? Junius Maltby, you do not know about the gold price. I will tell you about the gold price. You don't know what you don't know what you're talking about, you bastard guy. You don't disrespect me, Junius Maltby. I'll call you up on the telephone and I will curse you out in Hindi. Do you speak Hindi? Don't talk to me, Junius. You're a bastard. And I'll tell you, I'm not a cab driver. I don't drive cab. Okay? I make curry. I cook in a restaurant and I make the curry sauce for you. You come to my restaurant and you eat it. You like it very much, Junius. There you go.
You have to do one more.
What? What's another one?
Have they heard your Native American one?
Hello, I represent an insurance company and you must call me to talk to tech support. Why do you talk to me in tech support voice? What is the other one? I don't know. What
your
was it?
Native American voice?
Oh, and I love them too. I love them a lot.
No, I know. That's what people don't get.
Actually, people don't even realize it. Like some of the voices I do, the culture that I'm representing, I have nothing but the deepest respect for. And I've got a lot of friends that are actually Native American. I've experienced a lot of Native Americans. And I've walked some of their most sacred lands. And I'm actually, believe it or not, a significant advocate for, I believe, the Native American people. I have a deep respect for everything about I mean, it's incredible, really, truly is. I actually have some Native American stuff in my house, believe it or not. And, but I can do, yes. I've actually had a lot of Native people. Yeah, I've had a lot of good friends.
Mike L says the ogre voice is the one Mrs. M hates.
Oh.
You guys know which one is the one that I really hate?
Which one do you hate the most?
With
Bronklin.
Everything in me is
You
the
hate-
Bronklin
you hate the
voice.
New York
I hate
accent.
your Dago Wop stupid Bronklin
You do. You don't like it when I talk New York to you. It makes you think I'm a bad, slick Italian. You know what I mean? You know, that guy. I know. I get it. The Native American voice, yeah, they do a lot. There's a couple of them you can do. I do it. I mean, I've heard them say it and talk like it quite a bit. So, I don't know. I don't want to defend them. I can't.
Mark Gutierrez, I do no accents. I just live with this crazy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that? The pressure. Oh yeah. The poor person, Junius, pressured into spending their gas money bill on their silver. My favorite. I don't know what voice that was.
That poor person who Junius pressured into spending her gas bill money on silver was my favorite Junius voice. That's the one where that's kind of your Valley Girl one. Your like your distraught Karen one.
I don't even.
Really? You do it sometimes.
I don't remember. The thing is, a lot of them they just have to. I have to get a character in my head, and just put a voice.
I think I know which one Mike L is talking about. The one, your deep Russia, like some. What is it?
The Russian ogre voice, like the guy, like sending people to a gulag, maybe.
Is it that one?
I don't know. I don't know. I asked again. I'll have to be inspired. That's kind of.
Oh, Rolf Steiner says you haven't done Bernie Sanders in a while.
My Bernie commie voice, yes.
His cereal.
His free cereal. I used to see Bernie. It's almost like in order for me to channel Bernie, the guy's got to be running for president or be all over the news. Because then he just gets in my head, and I just kind of I have to see him talking again for a little while, and then I can crank out my Bernie voice.
Quattro likes your glasses. My glasses. I lost my glasses.
Oh, and I attribute that. I give credit where credit's due. That's absolutely Saul Rosenberg from the Jerky Boys. It's just me trying to do as good a Saul Rosenberg impersonation as I possibly can. If you know who that is, but a character from when I was a kid listening to the Jerky Boy tapes. Hello? Yes. Hi. I need an appointment for my eyesight and then my glasses. I can't see. Without my glasses, I can't see so good. And my shoes, I will come to your office and I'll bring all of my shoes with me. That's the song.
I gotta say, hands down, though, of all time, one of my top 3 that you do is Brock.
Goodness. Yeah,
Brock
and there's
preferred
enough.
that.
He was enough in the last live. They can go watch that live. If they haven't heard that, they can go check it out. But that's it. I'll let you guys go because I gotta eat something and we have to check on the baby kitties.
Yeah.
They've been without human adult supervision for a little while now. We gotta check on them. See how they do.
I will check on them.
We gotta see if the seventh one might be their one.
Yeah,
No.
they didn't know if there was a 7th because they kept moving in the ultrasound.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you know what? Thanks for all the kind words, all the compliments. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the Junius Maltby channel.
Super chats, all your support.
Yeah, all of you that please hit the thumbs up, the like, hit the share, because as you know, I'm in Shadowban land. I've been banished to the furthest outreaches of the kingdom, to the northern ungoverned lands
You're like
of
practically
YouTube.
in Northumbria.
Yeah, it's cold, it's windy, there's nobody here,
Right
and I'm Shadowban. It's obvious, it's clear. I don't have time to explain it all to you,
Mod
but
is Brita, and she's coming
yeah,
for you.
I've really pissed off Google. I don't know why they keep me around. It's like they like it. It's like I'm in purgatory or something. I don't know. Like I'm just here floating around.
But they take a cut.
They still take a cut. They love it. They take a cut of everything. They like Junius. They're like, yeah, let him stick around and we'll milk him for some more. But if he says one more thing about what has he said? Oh yeah, the Iron Dome. We're gonna boot him. Yeah,
they don't boot them because they want the. If you guys don't know, Google takes 30% of all YouTube proceeds. So
yeah.
So he's good enough for that, right, honey?
Yeah. Oh well. Who was it? Someone scared. Someone in the chat yesterday was super concerned about me. They're like, Junius, they're gonna come after you, man. You know what? I want them to. I'm ready. I'm like, I literally laying there.
I'm not getting in your van.
If they make it through, let's put it this way: if they make it past the first 4 tripwires, all right, and I haven't heard loud, deep concussions that rattle the windows, then look, if they make it past those 4 tripwires, they're good. Then we can have a competition. Then we'll see what it's like. If they can breach the door at that point, when the gunfight ensues, we'll see who's standing, and may the best man win. Right? If I survive it, hey, I'll be the champion of the night. If the guys that bust through the door win, we'll call them the champions for the night, and then they can get a trophy. As a matter, they can have this microphone as a trophy, and they can be like, "Yeah, so we did this operation. We had to set up on the unit, and I was there for like a week before the op, and I have my NVGs on. I was again, moons out, goons out. I'm a goon. I'm operating at night, and I've got this guy under surveillance. I'm looking at him. I'm watching his habits." During the day, he's out there checking his peach tree. I saw him. He pruned his plum tree. He walked around. He pet his cat like 8 times. And I'm like, okay, this is our guy. This is our suspect. This is Junius Maltby. He's exactly what I thought he would be. He's a threat. He's a threat to our freedom, our democracy, the flag that I wear, and the nation that I serve. So I'm posted up. We do the yop. We start approaching him. It's late. It's 3 a.m. I'm sleepy. But I'm actually spun up on Bang energy drink, and I've got a huge Copenhagen in my lip. I'm sucking on that nicotine. I'm flying high on the hate. We get to the door. We start to breach it. Loud boom. I lose Derek. All right, I lose him. He's my best breacher. This guy's dead. He's looking at me. His eyes are white. He's gray. He's not even breathing. Boom. Another boom goes off. There he goes. There he goes, another one of my best friends. Out for the count. We got him, though. We got our man. I'm just going to say that at the end of the day, you're safer, I'm safer, and we're a hell of a lot freer because we got Junius locked up. We got him locked up. He's no longer broadcasting. We took him out. And Mrs. Maltby has never been found. We don't even know. We got him in prison but the hunt's still on. I'm not going to give up. You don't turn it off. It doesn't end. It never ends, all right? You don't just turn it off. I've been retired for 8 years, and I'm going to go after that woman. I'm going to get her. I'm going to take her down. I'm on the hunt. Where it is, she's in Poland or Argentina. I don't know. Anyways, one day we'll have to write a whole book about it. A little fictitious novel on how Agent Brock came after me, but we took him out. James Richter, F YouTube, Repair Queen Maltby. And I love it. I get it. What a nice little message and a excellent little code there. I got it, my friend. Thank you. All right. Well, that'll be it. You guys got a final bedtime story. There you go. Those who stuck around to the end get the best bedtime stories. So thanks for tuning in and being here late and a long time. All of you have a good rest of your night and be well.